Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are back live on Radio Optimaz. You can also find us on our podcast, Amar and AJ podcast, and you can also ring into the studio. I think you should have the number there. What do you call video sales, especially with our regular listeners. Our number is 01274 271 786 or 787. And you can WhatsApp as well, even though we don't have it on us, but somebody will message us with what your details or questions are. This is 075 Yes, so without further ado, I think it was pretty hot topic, and we have had some interest from people with regards to this, and locally, obviously we just talked about reform. And if you do you still want to talk about reform? Have you got anything else?
Yeah, if you want to add
anything
something
positive or negative to say, because I think we ended on a positive note.
positive is that if people are talking about talk and try to get to the truth, which is needs to be explored. You can it's a really good time to start talking, whether you're university, college, or work. So it's a good opportunity for Muslims to present Islam, to explain what Islam is and what Muslims, what kind of history they have, and what we can offer as a community. I think overall our community has put in a lot of effort into this country, and the immigrants, the immigrants, we're not really immigrants, we're now being here for 50, 60 years. So you've got Muslims from all over the world here. So, if we stick to Islam and if we practice Islam, and call other people to Islam, it's a brilliant way of doing dawah, and that's right, practically. We're not talking about theory. Practically, we have to, if you see something in the path, move, help your neighbors. If it's someone old, basic, basic manners, and calling people to Islam is very, make a very, should be done in a very polite manner. But obviously, we can explain how Islam works for today's society, because it came for all times and all places. So I mean, we can go into this a bit more later. Maybe have a separate show about that. We've discussed that before, but what I want to add is, this situation that we are finding ourselves in. I think majority of people do understand what is going on. We have to take the propaganda and try to expose that agenda of propaganda.
We need to expose, obviously, what is actually done, said, factual information by his background, his immigrant background, the fact that he's pro-Nazi, most likely, according to lots of people, lots of people who actually have noted that from school, from school age days and up to now. So obviously, and we do know he definitely does want money. He's very needy in that sense, I think but the positives are he is a very good campaigner. He's a very good orator. He speaks quite well, and because of that, he gets away with it, and people think he's talking sense. But even though we do know, so most of the time he's talking rubbish, especially with regard to leaving the Europe, and Britain has been and is going to be our loss because of that. And I think also Keir Starmer is to blame a bit, because whatever Nigel Farage said, his policies were associated with similar to what Reform was saying. So he was, I don't know if it was people telling him to do that, or he today from his own from his own self, but he was definitely what do you call wrong in that by following the reform line. If you're going to follow the reform line, then you have to become a reform then. So I think in publicity they've got massive publicity, and that is not going to stop. And I think once we expose that the failures, whether that's in Kent Council, I'm surprised now there was nobody talking about that. They've already got a Kent Council, and they've got one of the youngest person there, 19 year running that council, and there's actually failures. There's many failures there, and they're not talking about that. I think with Tommy Robinson, he's got exposed properly, especially with his Israeli links, and a lot of white Christian people have talked up against him. But yeah, I think things really need to hopefully change in the future for that. And I think, like conservatives, who people never wanted to vote in the past, they call class stars are racist pride. People don't class stars are racist pride. There were laws of Muslims in that particular party. And even we had people like Sajid Javed, who was an extremist, with extreme views, believe it or not. He said, I'll ban my own parents. So I think there might be a problem with Muslims as well. They need to sort themselves out. They need to, try being good and practicing, and hopefully that might help with their decisions.
Yeah, just to add, lately, a former senior UK civil servant who actually ran the Brexit department has publicly said Britain should consider rejoining the EU, arguing that Brexit has failed to deliver its promises. His name is Philip Roycroft, who was the permanent secretary at the Department for Exiting the European Union from 2017 to 2019, argued that there was an eminent logic to re-entering the bloc. Writing in the Times, Roycroft said that none of the heavy promises of the various Leave campaigns had been met. No one can credibly claim that we have marched to the sunny uplands of sustained economic growth as a consequence of Brexit. New pollings show 53% of Britons were in favour of rejoining EU, while 29% were content as it is now. 10 years since the Brexit referendum vote taking place, taking back control has not led to the utopia that was promised, and Brexiteers blame successive governments for not taking opportunities of being outside the union. So so those who complain, want to rejoin, 53% of the poll, and only 29% are said they were just happy as it is, because there's not really been any economic benefit of leaving the EU. So people are now demanding that 53% is majority of those polls. They're saying we want to rejoin the EU. So that's obviously this is a recent recent event where 10 years have passed since the referendum, where the David Cameron government allowed a referendum because their members were leaving to join UKIP. So that was one political stunt that was done to stop the UKIP by doing the referendum. And they really do not want to do the referendum. It was only done to stop the UKIP. The Conservative parties did this to stop people joining the UKIP at the time.
Yeah, so I think obviously UKIP once again was led by Nigel Farage.
Yes.
We need to mention that. And yeah, so he's himself has a very good reputation in that sense. But we do know he's all over the place. He needs money. As long as he gets the money, he will join any party. And he's changed so many. Obviously, originally started from Conservatives, and people do say he were involved with the racist parties before he joined the Conservatives. And yeah, no, it's interesting to see how he manages to actually, you know, keep getting into that thingy. And hopefully, I'm just reading up on some of the racist remarks that what do you call it, some of the councillors who are elected councillors now they made. At the moment, they've already got rid of one councillor who was anti-Semitic, but people who are Islamophobic and people who made other remarks, the P word, racist words, and other words are getting away with it. So hopefully that will change as well. And
Yeah, so that's obviously is people have to stand up against racism. They have to stand up for communities
and all
and
forms of
minorities.
racism as well. So
Yes, yes.
at the moment, there's this one councillor which is anti-Semitic from Barbared. There's four other councillors who are mainly Islamophobic, and I think they are still on.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that. Obviously, people do classify them as a far right racist, but they're in Bradford, of all places, and that's also interesting. So hopefully that will probably change. But nationally, there's still we need to obviously there might be some person that might get scared. Nationally, it's Labour still in power, and yeah, they only have several seats. Yeah, without further ado, so we will probably be back. Well, I said probably we'll definitely be back. And take care. We'll see you after break. Take care. Thank you.